Greetings on the holiday trail, 2 days before Christmas, and wanted to share experience with you that I had last week. For those of you who don't know the story, A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote, you should. It is the definitive Christmas classic. Never been any, in my opinion, good film adaptations of it. I don't think you could quite capture it because it's writing at its finest. Sorry, my dog is yanking on the chain over here. His chain. Yeah, so the story capturing the friendship of a boy, a 7-year-old boy, and his eccentric best friend, outcast aunt. And it's based upon Truman Capote's memory. And I love that story. I grew up with that story. I saw that story in a theater when I was about 7 or 8 years old, actually. And it was a little Italian restaurant, really upscale Italian restaurant called the Itchy Foot. How about that for a name, right? The Itchy Foot. Now you hear, yeah, but I mean, this was a kind of a go-to place that you went to after you went to the theater. The Mark Taper Forum was just up the street in LA, one of the best theaters in the world. Just phenomenal stuff. But this year, the Itchy Foot, and they did this a lot, doing a staged reading of Truman Capote's Christmas Memory. That was one of the most powerful theater events I think I'd ever gone to. This little side restaurant. A man and a woman read an adaptation, a staged adaptation of the story. And they played all the characters, and they did all the different voices, and it kind of felt like a radio play. And it was intimate. It was in a room of 100 people, maybe less, I don't know. And it was so moving, and I was captivated as a young writer and an actor, and saw the courage and vulnerability, because I'd had those feelings of powerful nostalgia at 7 years old. And what kid at 7 years old is able to really articulate that, aside from the words, "I'm sad" or "I miss Christmas"? Well, this book gives the articulation, the license to articulate nostalgia in a way that makes sense at any age. And so on the last day of school, I decided to, or the day before actually, but it was the last day of school that I did it, I decided to just spur of the moment. I was tired. I didn't want to deal with kids. And, oh man, just get me home to my family. And I thought, with all the gifts that you've been given, how could you just keep them to yourself? You got to share the love a little bit. Honestly, that was my attitude. The St. Francis prayer in action. I could care less about what the reaction. I mean, I hope they liked it, but it wasn't for accolades. It was something I wanted to do. There was a need to share, an impulse, and I went with it. And I decided to read the school A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote. And I grabbed some kids at the last minute to make the sound effects and all that. And so we created the staged play just like how I'd remembered it at this beautiful little gifted and talented school called Academy for Advanced and Creative Learning in the Springs. And all the teachers, graciously, because they love me, but they knew I pull stuff like this. They said, "You're crazy. It's the last day of school. The kids are freaking hopped up on candy, and you're going to read to them for 45 minutes? Okay, good luck. But they were relieved because, you know, they got them out of the classroom. They didn't have to, you know, and it kind of worked. It was perfect. Read the story, hit. I don't know what it was. I mean, it's not like we did an overly souped up, it wasn't camp or anything of the story, but you could hear a pin drop in that place. Kids loved it. They didn't want to go back to class. They were moved. And this just kills me. This kid came up to me afterwards and he said, it's kind of like that quote, Mr. Jesse, this third grader. The greatest gift you can ever give anyone is your presence. And I went, oh, that's great. Thanks. And my own memories came back. My own Christmas memories came back. We meet them through what we love. To keep it, you got to give it away. These are lessons to be applied and polished and implemented. Signing up. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Kalikimaka is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day. Hey, that's the island greeting that we send to you in the land where palm trees sway. Here we know that Christmas will be green and bright, the sun disturbs him and all the stars at night. Mele Kalikimaka, here's a wise way to say Merry Christmas, a very Merry Christmas. To say Merry Christmas to you.